Remember our report that we gleefully entitled Europe Swallows Its Pride and Calls Up Moscow. We told you about an intriguing development. Russian LNG exports to the EU witnessed an increase of over 4% in the first quarter of the year. This uptick was attributed to Russia's adjustment in response to sanctions affecting its pipeline gas exports. We have something on similar lines today as well. And of course, we will tell you all about it. But before that, if you're a fan of non-corporate funded free news and analysis, you have landed on the right YouTube channel. Okay, let's begin. Russia is a veritable titan in the fertilizer market, which, dare I say, is far more exciting than it sounds. In 2022, this nation was responsible for a hefty 15.5% of the world's fertilizer exports. The star players in Russia's export lineup are potassium chloride, charmingly known as muriate of potash, phosphate rock, diammonium phosphate, urea, and triple superphosphate. Now, for those fond of numbers, Russia churns out over 50 million tons of these green thumb enhancers annually, capturing a cool 13% of the global market. The financial footprint is a dazzling $20.7 billion in 2022 alone, placing Russia at the pinnacle of the fertilizer value chain. As we tiptoed into 2024, Russia's fertilizer production saw a robust increase of 19.7% in January alone, reaching a production volume of 2.4 million tons in terms of 100% nutrients. By the end of 2023, the production figures had inched up by 0.7%. Specifically, potash fertilizers saw a dramatic 63.5% surge in January 2024 compared to the year prior, hitting 944,000 tons. And who, pray tell, are the major beneficiaries of this nutrient-rich bounty? While India, China, Brazil, and Africa received substantial amounts, it was the Western countries, yes, the very same ones that have been playing the sanction game with Russia since its 2022 military actions in Ukraine, that received the lion's share. Irony much, these are the same nations that have restricted trade, imposed bans, and frozen assets. Yet they seem to have no qualms about accepting Russian fertilizers with open arms. Talk about double standards. As the world turns, so do the gears of diplomacy and trade, often lubricated by the very commodities they seek to control. The United States, in a display of clandestine economic acrobatics, imported a staggering $944 million worth of Russian fertilizers from January to July 2023. This figure not only outpaces the previous year's peak by 5%, but also secures it a silver medal in Russia's fertilizer supply chain, with Canada graciously taking the gold. Despite the chorus of sanctions from Western nations, Russian fertilizer, making up 14% of global trade, somehow remains untouched by the reach of these restrictions. While Western leaders wax lyrical about not weaponizing food and avoiding humanitarian crisis, their actions paint a different picture. Sanctions have indeed made it a Herculean task for traders to process payments or secure shipping and insurance for Russian exports. Yet, the fertilizer flows freely. In February alone, the European Union, amidst its sanctimonious stand, scooped up 521.3 thousand tons of Russian fertilizers for a cool 167.4 million euros. This marks a 16% and 21% rise in quantity and price, respectively, from the previous month, hitting a high not seen since December 2022. Belgium nearly quintupled its purchases to 24 million euros. Romania and Bulgaria weren't far behind, with their imports multiplying by 2.4 and 2.1 times to 10.3 million euros and 5.2 million euros respectively. Germany also upped its game, increasing imports by 1.8 times to 20 million euros by winter's end. Poland, not to be outdone, remains the largest buyer for the third consecutive month, boosting its imports by 38% to 44 million euros, the highest since December 2021. What unfolds is a tale as old as time. Convenience and hypocrisy dancing a delicate tango on the global stage, with each step choreographed by political and economic interests. There you have it, folks. If you missed our spectacle that I mentioned in the intro, feel free to click the flashing video thumbnail for a visual recap of that intriguing dance of hypocrisy.